Storytelling is the art of using language, vocalization, and/or physical movement and gesture to reveal the elements and images of a story to a specific audience. To make it simple, storytelling is the art of telling a story. In fact, this video is storytelling. I'm going to explain to you how I use storytelling to make a documentary that reached 8.6 million views on YouTube. There are different types of storytelling: oral storytelling, written storytelling, or visual storytelling, which using video, photos, or images we can create a fictional story or to tell a story based in real life. The best way to tell a story that happened in real life is through a documentary. This is exactly what I made some years ago. As a Formula 1 fan, I tried to tell the story of the 2014 Formula 1 season, creating my own documentary. That's how I was born Origins of the Silver War, the documentary that tells the story of one of the best rivalries between Formula 1 drivers in the aim for achieving the 2014 Formula 1 Championship. Two drivers, Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, part of the same team, Mercedes-AMG Petronas, all friends that became new rivals, destroying his friendship to achieve their dream, to be Formula 1 World Champion. Only one of them will be the champion at the end of that 2014 season, and they crossed the limits on track to be the final winner. I had to find a way to tell the story that would be easy to understand, not only for Formula 1 fans, also for people who even don't know anything about Formula 1. And that's the moment when storytelling saved me. Following this storytelling structure, I was able to make a documentary that was an absolute success. Millions of views, thousands of positive comments, reviews, and the recognition of my person as one of the best video editors and content creators about Formula 1 on internet. Would you like to know how I did it? This is the video. Well, to explain storytelling in documentary, let's use this video that is extremely useful from this channel that you are watching on the screen. This guy will explain the basics. To understand the structure, I will try to explain you in the next minutes in the board.
How should I structure my documentary? There are several ways you can do this, but my favorite way, and the simplest, is by using a 3-act structure. A 3-act structure is a model that divides a story into 3 parts: Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So why is it important to use a 3-act structure when making a documentary? It's important because even though you're telling a true story about real people and real events, we still need to choose which elements of the story matter most and reveal those elements in a certain order to make it emotionally compelling for audiences.
Let me explain the elements I use in my documentary to follow this structure in terms of storytelling. For my documentary, I decided to create 2 different openings because I made this documentary not only for Formula 1 fans. I constantly thinking also into try to create a documentary that will be exciting to watch for people who have no idea about Formula 1, that is not even Formula 1 fans. So that's why I had to create 2 openings. First opening to introduce the characters, the main protagonists of the documentary, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, and the car they were driving for to fight for the championship, the Mercedes Formula 1 car. And in the second opening, that starts immediately, ends the first, I create a context, creating a short intro where they explain by themselves that they have the best car.
The drivability is much better. We have a lot more torque coming out of corners. The hybrid first package, it's so strong. We have the best car. New period of domination.
Creating these 2 openings, the viewer of the documentary now have the context of who are the main characters of the documentary, Rosberg and Hamilton, the car they were driving for, and they are the only contenders for the championship because they have the best car. The inciting incident of the Act 1. This documentary is important to understand that it's a fight for the Formula 1 World Championship. So the goal of the characters or the protagonist, the driver protagonist, is to clinch the World Championship trophy at the end of the season. Only one can do it. That means that the obstacle is the other one, is the teammate they have, because they are in the only team capable to win the championship, and only one can win the championship. That's why also it's a very interesting documentary, because at the end of the day, it's a battle between teammates. Which race is reflected this inciting incident? The moment when the viewer realized this is a very hard fight between these two teammates. In the Bahrain Grand Prix, the race number 4, where we have the first and probably the most amazing battle they had during the whole documentary, where they pass each other multiple times, they fought really hard each other until last lap. Hamilton on different compound tires than Rosberg.
On the board with Nico Rosberg, into the first turn we go. Is this the lead now for Rosberg? Hamilton manages to stay ahead, there's no team orders going on the Mercedes.
Rosberg will be way quicker out of turn 2, he can get on the throttle, but Hamilton's covered the inside line, and those stickier tyres from Rosberg giving him better traction too. Will he leave him any space?
He's gone off the track, he's gone completely off the track, Nico Rosberg, but he's certainly not given up yet. He now has to, as Hamilton slots back into the lead again.
A spectacular battle without incidents that ends with Hamilton winning that race and Rosberg coming in second place. In that Bahrain Grand Prix, the viewer can understand that this is serious. This is a real battle for the championship between these two teammates.
I strongly dislike coming second to Lewis. That's really not something I enjoy doing.
The act 2 of the documentary, the first act break. Okay, in this documentary, there is not a particular first act break, because the first act break, or the only act break, it's the season. The 2014 season with the 19 races of the season. So during this context of the 19 races is the place or the scenario where we are moving with the characters, the protagonists, the driver protagonists, where they will try to get the best result in each race to try to get the championship. There is not a clear structure. The whole season, every single race is important as a first act break. It can be the first race or the last one, but at the end, every single race put together makes the act breaks of this documentary. Which is the midpoint of this documentary, guys? Apart from the championship battle Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton have during the whole season, is the relationship they have. Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, they are very good friends since they are very young. They know very well each other, they share beautiful memories in their childhood together, so they have a real friendship that is under risk because of the championship battle they are having right now as a teammates for the Formula 1 championship. The midpoint, it happened in the Monaco Grand Prix. I think it's the race number 6. Is the Monaco Grand Prix. In this Monaco Grand Prix is where the viewer understand that the friendship Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton had was absolute broken.
Wanders around that big bump. Oh, that's too deep, that's too deep.
And that's Rosberg's qualifying over. What of Lewis Hamilton then? Let's pick him up now.
Backed off through the yellow.
Yellow, turn 5.
Yeah, very good of it. Very good.
We have the moment Nico Rosberg in the qualifying session failing the braking. Lewis Hamilton thought he did purposely to ruin his lap to try to get pole position in that Grand Prix.
Nico's mistake, ironically, and the subsequent yellow flags meant that you couldn't improve on your lap. Your feelings?
Yeah, it is ironic. But no, it's okay. I was up a couple tenths, so it's okay.
And after the race in Monaco, Hamilton said that famous phrase, "We are not friends."
But what about in terms of mending bridges with your friend?
Well, we're not friends.
In the midpoint is extremely important. You will make understand the viewer. That's a very important part of the documentary. That's why in my edit, in the moment Lewis Hamilton said, "We are not friends," is where I put the most dramatic music, very nice visual effects with that bottle of champagne being broken, symbolizing that the relationship also was broken between Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. And in that way, the spectator, the viewer, have a much more clear reference that this is a very important episode in the whole documentary. That's the midpoint of the Act 2 of the documentary, where the spectator will absolutely love the story, because this is a very powerful story between two old friends that now are rivals. And this is something I've planned before to start the documentary. That's why it's very important to understand in which moments of the documentary, seeing the whole season and what happened, you have to put more focus on. And this Monaco Grand Prix was absolutely essential in terms of editing to make understand people that this is one of the most important points in the documentary and in the relationship between the two protagonists, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. The second act break. In my documentary, the structure I follow to create a second act break, I had to do it for both protagonists, because in this documentary there are two protagonists that are the same level, but at the same time they are enemies each other. So I had to think about it every single time I was editing the documentary to try to give the same protagonism to each other depending on the race they were winning or they were suffering a crash or an incident. You know, I have to balance every time the moments where Nico Rosberg was protagonist and the moments where Lewis Hamilton was protagonist, but not only for good things, also for the bad things. For example, the second act break for Lewis Hamilton happened in different races, like in the Canadian Grand Prix, where he had to retire after a very hard fight he had against Nico Rosberg. His brakes failed.
He's locked his front left. Oh, Hamilton.
The German Grand Prix, where he started last because he crashed in the qualifying session the previous day. Hungarian Grand Prix in qualifying as well, where the Lewis Hamilton engine was on fire.
Oh, for sake. I got fire, guys.
And he had to start in the pit lane from the last position once again for the race, or the Belgian Grand Prix, another race where Hamilton had a crash with Nico Rosberg and he had to retire the car at the final part of the Belgian Grand Prix.
Oh, and to be fair, Hamilton has actually got more of a front wing now. He's going to puncture Lewis Hamilton.
Nico hit me. Nico's hit me.
In these 4 races, Lewis Hamilton had the biggest difficulties. The second outbreak for Nico Rosberg happened in the British Grand Prix, where he suffered a gearbox issue and he had to retire.
Okay, I'm trying everything. Anything else I can do?
Okay, not at the moment. We're still looking. Okay, so stop, turn off, stop, turn off, Nico.
In Singapore, something similar. He had some kind of electrical issue with the deployment and the energy of the car. He had to retire the car once again.
Nico Rosberg has been lapped, and is that his signal to say, no, we can't carry on?
Okay, let's park it. Stop, switch off.
And also in the last race in Abu Dhabi, that at the end he finished in the worst way for Nico Rosberg, with a lot of issues in the car.
Nico, box. Too many problems with the car. Box. I would like to go to the end.
I had to thought in terms of second act break in the critical points for each protagonist of the documentary, and in that way to make sure people understand that every driver at some point of the season had difficulties or troubles he had to overcome, you know, independently. In the second act, where stakes rise high, these are the most critical moments of the documentary, and where both protagonists are involved at the same time and between each other. For example, battles on track, where they fight on track very hard and they pass each other in the Canadian Grand Prix, or for example in the United States Grand Prix, where Hamilton fight against Nico Rosberg and he passed him.
And is this the lead of the race? Going to Lewis Hamilton, there go the 2 Mercedes. They almost touch at the end of the back straight as Hamilton takes over the lead at the US Grand Prix.
Also, team orders in the Hungarian Grand Prix, and the team said to Lewis Hamilton that he had to let by Nico, because Nico was on fresh tires, he was going much quicker than Hamilton at that point, but Lewis Hamilton did not let pass Nico Rosberg, because he knew Nico was his rival for the championship. If he would let him by, Nico would be finished ahead in that race, losing more points in the championship fight.
Why is he not letting me through?
Okay, Lewis, if you let Nico pass this lap, please. Let Nico pass on the main start-finish straight.
I'm not slowing down for Nico. Get close and overtake, then you can overtake.
Or, for example, the clash in the Belgian Grand Prix, where Nico Rosberg collided with his front wing in the rear tire of Lewis Hamilton. Some laps later, Hamilton will be forced to retire the car because of the damage he suffered. These moments were the moments where the championship contenders fight each other head-to-head on track, and where the championship was more important than their friendship. That's what makes absolutely love to people this documentary, because it's a human story. How a championship dream destroyed a friendship, you know? That's what you can see in the second act break, with these moments where they fight on track, team orders, polemic classes. This is the most important part in the storytelling documentary that makes people realize this documentary is really, really good because of the human story behind. In this second act break, where there are these kind of moments where Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg collide each other, there are team orders, it's also very important to create a very good editing. And that's why music is extremely important to understand how to fluctuate the emotions in these crucial moments of the documentary and to connect the songs with the most important moment that is happening during the documentary. In the peaks, where the tension is higher, is where you have to use the most epic songs.
So use overtake where you need it.
On the ball with Nico Rosberg, into the first turn we go!
And in the opposite way, in the sadness moments, is where you have to use the other kind of music. Sad, slow-paced music, slow beat, depressing songs. The climax, the resolution, how ends the documentary? Well, probably if you watch it, you know Lewis Hamilton finally was the winner in the last race of the season.
World champion! Oh my god!
Nico Rosberg had a major power unit issue that forced him to run very slowly during the whole Grand Prix, finishing last, I think. Lewis Hamilton is the winner, Nico Rosberg is the loser of the championship and of the story. But also the climax and the resolution is in the friendship they have. One of the most important factors, because this documentary is so good for the people. The friendship that we saw during this whole video was broken in different points of the season, in different races. It's, let's say, fixed, because at the end of the race we can see Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton hugging each other. Nico Rosberg congratulates to Lewis for the championship achieved.
Emotions very disappointed, but all in all, Lewis deserved to win the championship today. Yeah, that's clear.
And some final words that I include before to end the documentary, where Lewis Hamilton talks about Nico Rosberg as a driver, as a championship contender in a very good way, and by the other hand, Nico Rosberg say very good words about Lewis Hamilton as a driver and as a championship contender.
Nico put on an incredible fight throughout the year. He was a phenomenal competitor.
All in all, yeah, you just did that little bit better job than me in this year, especially in the races, you know, just a tiny bit, which I need to find.
This is what makes people love this documentary, because after a very, very cruel rivalry, very tense rivalry between two old friends that now are new rivals, at the end, both congratulate each other. And that's beautiful. And this is why storytelling is extremely important. This is something you can do in everything you are trying to make. And I hope this will be helpful for you in the creation of your future movies, documentaries, stories you are going to make, because at the end people want to see stories. Emotions is what moves our world. You have the power to create and to generate emotions in the people if you are able to create a good storytelling, and I'm sure you will do it. So go for it. If you have reached this point of the video, congratulations, thank you for watching until the end. And this is not the only video where I explain things about Formula 1 and video editing. There is a full playlist on YouTube where you can watch most of the techniques I use for my Formula 1 edits. Super important technique you must to learn: visual storytelling. I will place the video here. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.